Hi guys, and welcome back to I Speak English. My name's Hayley, and in this lesson we're going to be taking a look at some collocations specifically for the Cambridge C1 exam, and we're going to be talking about family. That's our topic. It's a very common topic in the Cambridge C1 exam, especially in your speaking. So these collocations are really going to help you for speaking part 1, speaking part 4, possibly speaking part 2 as well. But before we take a look at that, please do make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and if you find this video useful, please do give it a like. It just helps it to find more people so that they can learn some vocabulary for their exam as well. So give it a like, turn on your notifications, leave me a little comment if you want. It really helps just to get more people to come to the channel so that they can watch these videos. Alright, so with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so let's take a look at our C1 collocations then. So first of all, you might be wondering, what is a collocation if you've never heard about these before. A collocation is just a natural combination of words, basically. So certain nouns go with certain adjectives, certain verbs go with certain nouns, certain adverbs go with certain verbs. And if you kind of combine two words that just don't go together, often it just sounds a bit strange, a bit weird to a native ear, and it just doesn't sound right. So these collocations really help you to sound more natural when you speak English. For example, a couple of examples of kind of collocations here. We have heavy rain rather than strong rain. Maybe in your language you might say strong rain. We always say heavy rain in English. Blonde hair, not yellow hair. Sounds very strange if you describe someone with yellow hair. And for example, you pay attention, verb noun collocation. You don't give attention, you don't lend attention, you pay attention in English. Again, in your language, it might be a different word. This is why it's good to know collocations, because if you're kind of directly translating from your language, your English is going to sound a bit clunky and it's not going to sound so natural. So it's always better to pick up some new collocations to help you. So let's move on to our first collocation then. So I'm going to give you a bunch of collocations with the word family. Okay, so there might be some verb noun collocations, might be some adjective noun collocations, but they've all got the word family in. So we'll take a look. I've got 4 here for you. So our first one is raise a family. Okay, for example, they moved to the countryside to raise a family. If you raise a family, it just means you start a family, you have children, and you bring those children up. Okay, so raise a family, it's like saying make a family, but again, in English, we would not say make a family. That sounds very strange. It sounds like you're creating, like physically, block by block. It sounds a bit odd. So we would say raise a family. Our next one is a close-knit family. This is a very common collocation here. So if I said they have a close-knit family and spend a lot of time together, this is kind of like saying the same as you have a close family, but you have strong bonds with people in your family, you get on well with each other, you spend a lot of time together. So you're very, very close to your family members, but we would say close-knit. If you can say something like this in the exam, you'll get much higher marks for language. Because in the exam, the examiners are looking for your range of language, okay? So that you're not kind of repeating yourself and that you are using a variety of adjectives and nouns. So this would be perfect for that. So close-knit family, we've got to run in the family. So this is a verb noun collocation, to run in the family. If I said artistic talent seems to run in the family, that would mean that kind of a lot of people in your family are artistic. So if something runs in your family, you could also say it runs in your genes as well. Not the genes that you wear, as in your DNA genes. it's like something is inherited in your family. So it's normally a characteristic of some sort or a behavior. Could also be like an ability or a skill, like talent as well. Okay, but often we use it to refer to behavior. All right, and our final one is family values. Okay, this is kind of self-explanatory, really. The values that your family have, what your family deem as important. You could say, for example, they place a strong emphasis on traditional family values. So just what you deem important as a family, or what your family deems important are your family values. All right, so I'm going to show you how to use these in the speaking exam in a bit. Once we've looked at all of the collocations today, I'm going to give you some example exam questions and then how you could answer that as well using these collocations. All right, but now we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at another collocation / idiom. This is the black sheep. So you might have something similar in your language for talking about this. The black sheep refers to a family member that does not fit in with the rest of the family, or they're different from the rest of the family, and they're often judged for being different. They're judged by the rest of the family for being different. So you could say, for example, we don't talk to Cousin Bob anymore. He's always been the black sheep of the family. Okay, he's always been quite different to everyone else. So it's quite a negative connotation. If you're the black sheep, you're seen as something negative. It's not a compliment. Okay. Moving on, blood is thicker than water. This is very, very common collocation / idiom, if you want to call it that. Just meaning that family bonds or family relationships are more important than other relationships. Okay, you could say, for example, she forgave her brother. After all, blood is thicker than water. Okay. Again, if you're not sure how to use this in the exam, don't worry. I'm going to give you some examples in a second. Okay, we're going to take a look and you're going to have a better idea of how to use it in your speaking exam. But this is super common. If you want to use it in your exam or just when you're talking in general. All right, next up, we've got 4 more collocations, this time with the word relative instead of family. So we've still got some adjective noun collocations here. So we've got an immediate relative and we've also got close relative. So these are actually basically mean the same thing. You can use them interchangeably if you want. So for example, only immediate relatives are allowed in the hospital room, or only close relatives were invited to the ceremony. Okay, so an immediate relative or a close relative is a relative who is in your, you'd say, immediate family as well, meaning kind of your mother, father, brother, sister, your children, possibly your grandparents, but that's it. Your immediate family is your very, very close family. So you could say immediate family, you can also say immediate relative as well. Same with close family, close relative. Okay, you can use them interchangeably. We've also got blood relative here. It's kind of explanatory as well. Blood relative is only someone related to you by blood, not by marriage. So your brothers and sisters would be related to you by blood. Your parents, assuming you're not adopted, would be related to you by blood. Okay, someone who is not related to you by blood would be like married into your family from a different family. Okay, so if you want to use this in a sentence, she donated a kidney to a blood relative. And lastly, we have a distant relative. For example, I met a distant relative in the family reunion. Again, quite self-explanatory. Distant relative is someone who is not a close relative. So it might be a cousin's, I don't know, a cousin's child, your second cousin, third cousin, your aunt twice removed or whatever. But someone who is not immediately related to you is your distant relative. You can also say distant family here as well. All right, and lastly, we have a sibling rivalry. This is a nice collocation if the examiner asks you about your siblings. So sibling rivalry is just competition or maybe even animosity between siblings or among siblings, okay? So for example, you could say there's always been a lot of sibling rivalry in my family. It's like everything is a contest. So it's like you always have to do better than your sibling, or your sibling thinks that they're better than you are. So that's what sibling rivalry is. Okay, again, very common collocation if you want to use it. You know, the thing about collocations is that they're actually really difficult to learn in like a natural way. And you do need a lot of them for C1. Again, it's just these kind of small natural things that they're trying to pick up on, that the examiners want to see. And if you're struggling to learn collocations, I've got some flashcards. I'm going to put them in the description. I'll put a link up here as well. So you've got some flashcards there, and I'll put a PDF there as well of just a list of like 100 collocations that would be useful with different topics as well, so you can learn it topic by topic. I'll leave that there for you. Click it if you want. It's free. Take a look, and hopefully that'll help you learn some useful collocations for the exam. All right, for now we're going to take a look at some exam questions then. Let's have a look. So we're going to take a look at some speaking part 1 questions first, and then we'll take a look at speaking part 4. So an example of a speaking part 1 question, they might just ask you, do you have a big family? Okay, so how are we going to get some of these collocations in here? So you could say, not particularly. I come from a small, close-knit family. Most of my relatives live nearby, so we tend to have regular family gatherings. And I'd say I have a strong bond with my parents and my oldest sister. So here's an extra qualification for you as well, a strong bond. You can use that as well. Again, we don't say heavy bonds. We don't really say tight bond. You would say strong bond. Okay. So you could use close-knit and strong bond there. It's an example of one for you. Next one, they might just say, tell me a bit about your family. Okay, so again, you're trying to, when you're in the speaking exam, you don't want to just say, I have a good relationship. We have a good relationship because, we like each other. It's very low-level vocabulary. You need to be using, like I said, a range of vocabulary, a range of collocations, some phrasal verbs if you can. Okay, so these are going to help you that way. So if the examiner asks, tell me about your family, you could say, well, I come from quite a traditional household. Household, there you go, synonym for family. You could just use household instead. I come from quite a traditional household where strong family values were always emphasized. Respect, loyalty, and support for one another were really central while I was growing up. Again, instead of saying important, you can say central. So we've got all these synonyms, for different words instead of using lower level vocabulary. You can use stuff like this. If you use different synonyms, you'll get a higher mark in your speaking exam. Okay. All right, one more part 1 question. You just said, do you have any brothers or sisters? You could say, yes, I've got a younger brother. And we had our fair share of sibling rivalry when we were kids. Fair share, this is another nice collocation as well, and it's very, very common. Instead of saying like a lot of, or maybe even some, we would use a fair share of something. Very common in native speech. Would be great if you could use this in the exam, because it sounds very natural. So we had our fair share of sibling rivalry. When we were kids, fighting over little things, like who got the front seat or the last slice of pizza. But we get on really well now. Phrasal verb there, to get on well. Again, you should be using phrasal verbs in your speaking if you can. All right, next up, part 4. Let's take a look at some part 4 questions. These tend to be kind of less personal in a way. They're more like discussion questions. They ask you your opinion on something in particular, and you'll have to discuss that as well with the other person in your exam. So, for example, if they said, "Are personality traits influenced by family?" You need to give your opinion on this. You could say something like, "I believe they can be. For example, creativity seems to run in the family on my mother's side. My mum and her sisters are great artists, and now my younger cousin is showing the same talent." Okay. So even if they're asking you something like in general, like a discussion question, you can also apply it to yourself and give yourself as an example if you want. But just make sure when you're giving your answer that you always give a reason why, to kind of extend your answer. You can also give an example as well. It's always a nice idea. So we've got run in the family here, meaning to be inherited. Continuing on, another question. How important are family values in today's society? Okay, you could say, I think they're still extremely important. Even though families might look different now, blended families, single-parent households, the underlying values like mutual respect and support are timeless and essential for a healthy society. Okay, so we've got some nice extra vocabulary there. Blended families, single-parent households, underlying values. Okay, any of these collocations would be really nice to use in your exam. All right, and lastly, let's take a look at one more question, part 4 question. Why do you think some families grow apart over time? Okay, so you could say something like, I think it often comes down to lifestyle differences or unresolved conflicts. Comes down to, that's a nice phrasal verb there. You can see there, comes down to. Something comes down to something, it's like it's caused by something. So it comes down to lifestyle differences. Families growing apart are caused by lifestyle differences. Okay. So I think it comes down to lifestyle differences or unresolved conflicts, but in many cases, people reconcile eventually. After all, blood is thicker than water. Most people value those family ties even after disagreements. So we've got family ties, that's another one for you there as well. Instead of family bonds, you could say family bonds, family ties, family connections. Okay, again, just giving you different ways to say the same thing so that you're not repeating yourself constantly. That's the main thing with your C1 speaking, is that you're not repeating yourself. Okay. All right, so that's it. They're your collocations for today. If you found that useful, again, please do give this video a like. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you want to practice any of them, just leave me a little comment and I'll correct you, just so that you give it a little practice so that you know how to use them correctly. And if there's any questions that you've got about the exam or any video that you want me to make, again, leave me a little comment and I'll try and get a video made for you. All right. Right, so that's everything from me for today. I'll see you in another video soon. Right, bye.